Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is 58 Keys, which as ever is for writers like you and me who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. Do subscribe because there's so much to talk about, isn't there? This time, actually, for once, it might not be well, it actually probably will be. I'm going to go off down a rabbit hole on this one, but I hope it'll be a quick one for you this time, because this is about text expansion and replacement, and you might already know about it. If you do, maybe I can show you some little extras, but probably not. But actually, it's worth talking about, because if you don't happen to know about this text expansion that's free inside your iPhone, well, you're going to like this. Just let me show you. Okay, iPhone, I need to send an email. Well, XM. There you go. That's an address, and it's to a Mr. Well, let's say, I don't actually have trouble spelling this word, but let's pretend that I do. Mr. Beiderbecke. Okay, and for some reason, I don't know why, I have to include my postal address. There we go. I actually think the iPhone keyboard is startlingly good, but this kind of thing helps. Repetitive stuff that's simple, but you've got to get it right, it helps. You can do this on any iPhone right now, and actually any iPad, any Mac, right out of the box with what Apple includes. There's then a little more that you can do with third-party apps and services, but we'll get to those. Apple calls this text replacement, and it calls it that because you type one thing and it's automatically replaced by something else that you've decided. Fine. But it's also known by other terms, and I use them interchangeably without thinking. It's also known as text expansion, partly because without fail, you type something short and it gets changed out into something longer. It expands out. But also, actually, I think mainly because the third-party company that's best known for providing this app and service for the Mac and PC, it's called Text Expander, so the name sticks. There are actually very good reasons to use Text Expander, and I'll show them to you. There are rivals as well that are good. I should say there are competitors that do similar things. I happen to think Text Expander is by far the best, but the key thing here is, talking to you now, there are fewer reasons to use Text Expander on iPhone. I talk in another edition, I will talk in another edition of 58 Keys about text expansion on the Mac, and when that's done there will be a link below so you can leap to that. On that one, I already know I'm going to urge you to get Text Expander for the Mac, and the way I see it, if you subscribe to Text Expander to get the Mac one I urge you to get, well then you also get it at the same time. It comes same package, iPhone and iPad as well. You might as well exploit what's available. There is just a lot less to exploit. So let's park that for a minute. Let's forget Text Expander just for now, build up to that a bit, and concentrate instead on what you can do right here for free on your regular iPhone right now. Open Settings for me. Tap on General, then Keyboard. Now Text Replacement. That first line right there, that OMW with On My Way next to it, you've got that already. Even if you've never been in this section in your life, Apple includes that by default. So actually, right now, in any app on your iPhone, anywhere you can type, if you type the letters OMW and then tap the space bar, your three letters are replaced by the words On My Way. Yeah, not strictly true. It's On My Way exclamation mark. No. My very first editor, a long time ago now, well, he told me all sorts of things, but I think the first thing was don't use exclamation marks. The reader should exclaim, not the writer, he said. Haven't used one since. Well, so actually, I'll tell you what, because that really does bother me. Let me fix it here. I can tap on where it says On My Way, and I can just delete the exclamation mark like that. It's gone. Tap Save. I feel happier. In fact, let me just try it out in Mail. OMW. There you go. I feel much better because of that. Thank you. Anyway, I meant really for us to make a new one, not edit an old one, but let's do it. Tap on that plus sign at top right. Phrase and shortcut. Other apps use different terms, but even Apple uses different terms, but there are always two parts to this. There's always the phrase here, the thing that you want to end up seeing, like your email address, like your postal address, or hardish to spell words that you've got to get right, like Beiderbecke. The phrase is the result, if you like. The shortcut part in this list, that's the trigger. This is the thing that you want to type that will set this off, that will get you the result. And you've got to be careful. The trigger, the shortcut. It's got to be short or there's no point to any of this. It has to be memorable or you won't remember it and there's no point to any of this. But it's got to be unique. It has to be something you would never type intentionally, intending to keep. Yeah, if I chose the word address, if I made the word address be the trigger for my post address, well, there's a logic to that and it would certainly work. But every time I emailed anyone or messaged them or contacted them in any way and asked for their email address, please, it would instantaneously be converted, changed, and so that it read that me asking, what is your 56 Leonard Street, New York, 113 USA, please? The answer, the solution, is to prefix everything with a letter that doesn't get used much. X, for example. I mean, unless you work for Xerox or you're xenophobic, it's not very likely that you will start a word with an X all that often. So immediately it's kind of already unique, probably. Begin with an X and then make the rest be as short as you can while still being memorable. So you've just seen XD does an address for me. X-Jazz spelt out Bix Beiderbecke's surname, and so on. And that's it, really. Do this and make sure you tap save at the end. Then this text expansion or text replacement, it immediately works everywhere. Any place that you can type in text on your iPhone, you can use this. Go into Safari, into the top bar and do it with website addresses, for example. Please don't use it with passwords, though. Yeah, no. Get my head out of that problem. There's no limit to the number of these text expansions you can have, as far as I can tell. And the moment that you have hit save on any one that you've created on your iPhone, that same one is immediately available on your iPad and on your Mac without you doing anything else. I love that happens. The whole thing, actually, I mean, it's remarkable. It's very handy. It's not surprisingly not that well known, but it is also limited. Everything you just saw was done through Apple's own quite basic text replacement feature. And everything you saw, it was short, wasn't it? An email address, a sort of hard to spell word-ish, and so the post address, and so on, that kind of thing. You can't use Apple's own feature to do, for instance, replacing a short trigger phrase with a 5-paragraph email. I mean, you may think that you never send the same 5-paragraph email, but I bet you do sometimes. I mean, someone wants to book you for a writing workshop, well, you might well have a stock reply with your fees and a blank bit for where you'll say, yeah, I'm available on Tuesday or whatever it is. Or let's say you take minutes for a committee meeting every month and everyone has the same format to it. There's the where it is, the date and time it took place, yeah, where you met, apologies, and it's always the same people who never turn up, so you might as well type those names in straight away. Date of next meeting, you could have a template to do that. You might well want to, but it's also handy to just be able to type 2 keys and have it all typed out for you in a flash. You can do all of this, just not with Apple's feature. You have to use a third-party app like Text Expander. And I would race to recommend Text Expander on the Mac. Actually, let me just show you, rather than just keep saying this good on one, bad on the other. A quick look. This is Text Expander on the Mac, just a really quick look. I'll do it in full in another video, but here I am replying about my workshop fees, for example. I can just type the client's name once at the top, and there, see, it's also typed in the middle. I can choose from a list of fictitious workshops that I do, and I can decide whether I think this person sounds rich or not, and so also the budget didn't tell you that. Make those choices, click that button on the Mac, wallop, an email or whatever is written to the rich guy, fine, on the Mac. Text Expander and other apps, they can do this. They can enter all of that text for you. On the iPhone and the iPad, though, Apple limits apps so that no one app can interfere with another. It's a security thing. It's good. It protects us. But it means Text Expander can't insert itself into everything the way that Apple's own text replacement, text expansion feature can. There are though, if you get Text Expander, you might as well use it. There are two things you can do. First, you can open the Text Expander app itself, right there on your iPhone. This is the app where you set up all of this stuff in detail that I will show you in the Mac video, because it's easier to show you on the bigger screen. Another 58 keys video, Mac specific text expansion. But for us for now, you can also tap on this notes section. While you're in there, while you're in notes, type something that expands. Here's XPay, for example, the text extension I use when an invoice of mine is paid. Fill in the boxes, choose from the drop down, tap done. There's the completed and expanded text. You can copy all of that out of the notes field in the Text Expander app and paste it into whatever you like, such as an email. It does look a bit of a mess, this particular example. That's because it is meant to be used in a Mac and for emails. I click in the to button on a Mac in Mail, run this, and then it pops the email address in, and it dark right is tabbed into the subject heading, then the main body copy and all of that. It's kind of, it as well as the typing, it does the moving and the cursor, and it's really handy. It doesn't happen on iOS. So I keep stuck record here. Can do it on the Mac, can't do it on iOS. But the thing is, just seeing that there, you can see that there are other things you could use this for. Things where it asks you questions, things where it gives you drop down choices. And then there's this. Forget Text Expander for a minute. You have to have it, but let's put it out of mind for a moment. Take a look at a totally separate note-taking app called Drafts. I love Drafts. This is the company, no connection between this and the company that makes Text Expander as far as I know, but here in Drafts, I can do this right here. Type my XPay, and there you go. Drafts bounces me over the Text Expander app, lets me fill that in, and when I'm done, bounces me right back into Drafts with that text in place. It's not very handy, but it works. Also, actually, this leaping between apps is not always reliable. I mean, it works most of the time. For quite complicated expansion of filling in fields, choosing things, it tends to bounce between apps. It tends to work most of the time, kind of thing. What works all of the time, though, without fail, in my experience anyway, are certain text expansions that come with Text Expander. They come pre-built in them. You'd have to choose to delete them if you didn't want them. Watch this. I'm in Drafts. D-date. Guess when I'm recording this. Would you like to guess even more precisely? Tea time. Every time is tea time. So British. But if I type this word, D-date, so date with two D's at the start, or tea time, time with two T's, Text Expander expands that out to the current date or the current time. It will do that in its own Text Expander app in that notes section. It will do it in apps like Drafts, which are built to include Text Expander support. It won't do it anywhere else on your iPhone or iPad. So you can't go into Mail to do this. But those two, the date and the time, I can't count how often I use them, and I write in Drafts a lot. So I'm writing an article in Drafts, I'll prefix every one of them with the date and the time that I've started it in. It helps me find them later. On a Mac, actually, I will go further. I will add the date to the file name of a document I save in Pages. But since I write in Drafts a lot, it's handy to have these. I don't use many more complex Text Expander actions on iPhone or iPad. In fact, actually, I use them so little that it would not be worth my time buying Text Expander for the iPhone or iPad. But as I say, I use it ferociously on the Mac. Just one more example, top of my head, I produce a buddying program. Every 3 months, for instance, I pair up a couple of writers in a set, and the announcement of the next one is coming, the next round is starting, the instructions for new members, the reminders for old, the welcome email, they're all a keystroke or two away because of Text Expander on the Mac. Text Expander is worth it to me on the Mac, and as a side benefit, I get it on the iPhone and the iPad with these little extras that are pretty good to have. So Text Expander is for all of your devices, and it costs from $3.33 per month if you pay annually. But let me be extra clear. That fee, This is important. That fee, that gets you the third-party text expander app, which is so useful in the right circumstances. As I say, it's so useful on the Mac, so okay on the iPhone. But most important of all, what you saw first today, when we first talked about the expansion of my email address, the word Beiderbecke, and so on, the postal address, that stuff is Apple's, and that's yours. You've got that right now, right there in your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac this moment, without you doing anything else except decide what you want to happen. Next chance you get, just go type OMW anywhere on your iPhone and see what happens. Because it's Apple's own feature, that basic one, that can be used anywhere on the iPhone. Apple doesn't limit itself the way it limits every other developer. That sounds bad, and you know, I wish it didn't in certain cases, but it's a good thing for us. It's a security thing. That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Do you remember that there will be a 58 Keys about text expansion on the Mac? We're using more options actually than Apple's own or text expander, but including those. And when it's done, there will be a link below to that. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourself. Write more, but I mean, write the stuff you want to write rather than repetitive email addresses and stuff like that. And I'll see you soon.